Hello everyone, welcome to my live stream. Today I'm doing something that I haven't done on camera yet. I am using my light table, just a glass table with lights underneath, to trace the border and the drawing that I did for my February Gryphon illustration. I need to trace it onto its final sheet of paper, which is going to be this huge sheet, 13 by 17 I believe, watercolor paper. So last time I was working on the border, I believe, and I wanted to show what I did on Photoshop. So this is what I drew by hand with a physical media with pencil on paper. I only did these 3 parts, and then in Photoshop I copied those parts over to all the other remaining sides. So I first outlined them using the paintbrush tool, and then I copied them where they needed to go and made them line up so the completed border is ready to be traced. That's the first thing I'll trace so that I don't waste any effort tracing stuff in this picture that won't be within the bounds of the border anyway. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is take some masking tape and tape the border onto the back of this so I don't have to worry about keeping it lined up the whole time. And use probably just 2 pieces, and what I always do is put it on my clothes, put the tape on my clothes first. That way it's a little less sticky so that it won't rip the paper when I pull it off later. Oops, hit the camera with the paper. I just want to sort of center this. There's going to be a big area of white paper not even painted on, but I still want to make it as centered as possible and level. That's something I figured out last year, that if I want to do a drawing or a painting in a certain size, it's a lot easier if I use a much larger paper than the final size I want the drawing to be. I only tape it a couple times because I sometimes like to lift it up. Of course it will be turned over, but I lift the main sheet up because, so with this, hopefully you can see it, looks like it, you can see it quite well through the paper. But with this drawing, it's a lot harder to see because this is graphite. It's not as dark, and the lines are a lot thinner than the border. So it can get really hard to see the individual little tiny lines with the texture of the watercolor paper with the light coming through. And so if I tape down the whole picture onto the back on all sides, then I can't lift up and look and see what it's actually supposed to be if I'm getting a little confused about what I'm seeing. Let's see. These are going to be the final lines, so I want to make sure to use exactly what I want for the inking part. Maybe I'm going to pull up the digital copy of my January Gryphon first and take a look at those lines. Then I can compare I can't look at the original painting from the January Gryphon illustration because it's packed right now. There's no way for me to look at it. Okay. I'm glad I brought that picture up because it looks like I used a lot thicker ink on the outside and inside of the border, and then for anything that's on the inside here I used really much thinner, a thinner pen. I think I'll start with an 8. I'm going to use my micron pens again. And there's my 8. So even though I copied all of these lines, only drew one set of these in Photoshop and then copied them all over. I'm still drawing the whole thing by hand in the end, so it's still gonna look hand drawn and it'll have its own, each set of lines will still look unique. Gotta scoot my lamp over a bit. It's blinding me. There. Another tough thing with tracing on watercolor paper is the texture of the watercolor paper. It makes your pen move, and it can be surprisingly easy to get off, like completely off track of what you're trying to trace. Just because of the texture alone, the texture tries to guide your pen. But in the end, I like the hand-drawn look, the way that it's not exactly the same in every spot. You can see the little wiggle lines. You can tell that someone actually drew this with a human hand. I wasn't sure at first when I was trying to find my watercolor paper that this was the correct size. It's been so long since I did this part of one of these illustrations, because I've only finished one. Just didn't seem like it was that big of a paper that I worked on, but now that I have it on the light table with the light shining through and the paper behind, I'm sure this is the correct size. I mean, it's the only one that I had, so there's no way it could have been anything else anyway, but I don't know if I had such a hard time with my January Gryphon getting the watercolor sheet off of the block, but this time it ripped in several places. That's another good reason to work really far in, because I don't know if you can tell, but it ripped here. And there's a few other small rips, and the page underneath got ripped too. But since the piece itself is all the way in here, that can always just be trimmed off or covered up with a mat when it gets framed and stuff, so it's not a problem. Now, I guess I'll do the hearts with this same size pen too. Do all the hearts with this same size. Tape is rolling off the back and getting stuck to the table. Whew. Having these two lamps right here is getting really hot. I'm gonna open the window. Oof. I love these lamps because they're so nice and bright, but they get really, really hot. You can burn yourself on them. I'm gonna turn this one upside up. Dang, this tape keeps coming off and squeaking on the table. You dumb little tape, stop. Stop coming up. So all these hearts are going to be eventually drawn and painted to look as if they're gemstones. Or at least one of the February birthstones is amethyst. And so the same as with the January Gryphon I did, the outside elements, the little shapes. So in January they were just little circles. They were garnets. These ones, all the hearts, are going to be amethyst. Okay, I'm going to move to something smaller, a smaller pen for the inside part. So I really want to keep, as much as possible, I want to keep these Gryphon illustrations looking like they're all done with the same technique. So even though it takes a long time to make each one, I'm going to try my best to remember what I did to make each one so that they don't necessarily look the same, but look like they're meant to go together, because they are. That's good. Getting kind of excited seeing that. Need to lower my chair. This is always surprisingly tough work physically. It's unlike with sketching where you can be kind of loose and it's okay if you go over the same line a bunch of times. It doesn't quite match up because you've got the overall look. And once you're at this point, you need to get everything precise because, at least the way I work, you only get one chance to draw a line. Almost half done. Half done on the border. Ah, this darn piece of tape. I'm almost done with it, and I can switch out pictures. I think I might go around the outside one more time. This doesn't look as thick as the border as the lines. Although maybe in some places it's just thicker. Guess I'll look at it at the end and see if it looks like it needs more once I'm done tracing everything. I think that's a good idea. Now just the bottom. There, boom. Border done. This border is far less complicated than my January border. So now, take this off carefully. This is 300-pound watercolor paper, so it probably won't rip anyway, even if I didn't do the little precautionary thing with the tape on my clothes. But it's good to stay in the habit, because I have forgotten in the past, and then I rip it off and there's a big ripped section of paper on the back. Okay, now we're going to use these same pieces of tape. No reason not to reuse them. Now I'm going to center this drawing. Probably better do it the other way. You know, taping it this way is easier. Yeah, it's a lot harder to see. Maybe what I'll do is just try and center it again, like I did the last one, and then flip it over and see if that looks alright. It's super hard to see. Just want it as centered as possible, and level. Centered and level. Pull it down a little bit. So far that looks pretty good. Oh, the tape's gone and stuck to itself. There we go. Don't want to shift paper. Stay right there. Try and make this stick good. Use my fingernail. Stay stuck. There. Other tape. This one's coming up a bit too. Stay down until I'm done. There. Let's see how that looks. Oh, it's too far to the left. The tail's getting cut off. Gotta redo it. Dang, I stuck it down all good and everything. Okay, come on. Not too far. And level. Make sure it's level. I don't want the tail to get cut off. Let's go a little bit farther. Pull that down a bit. Okay. Stay. Stay, 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 stay. You too. Tape. Stay down. Alright, now how does that look? that's much better. Down here. Yeah, it looks pretty good. It looks like all those pine needles I drew are really gonna work out great. There's not any like bare spots where I neglected to draw any. It looks really great. Okay, now I want to take a look at my January Gryphon again. Okay, really glad I looked at that. It seems like actually what I did was not use black ink for the whole thing. I need to get out my warm gray pens because I don't have any really distant background stuff like in my January Gryphon. The January one shows all the way back to like mountains. The scene is in a mountain forest, and then there's mountains like hundreds of miles away in the distance. So I don't have as many places where I might use a gray pen instead of a black pen, but I'm thinking these flowers, I don't know if you can even see them, but I think that'll be a good place to use it because flowers are soft, like literally soft, and it'll be nicer to have a softer line because using gray just makes it look less harsh. But everything else, like the pine needles, I think they'll be fine with black because they're a darker green, and the wood is a hard thing, the wood making up the nest, so it's no problem using a hard harsh line for that. And the bird and the squirrel part of the Gryphon. The squirrel part is red. It's a red squirrel. But I still don't think that's a light enough color to merit the use of gray. So I'll just use gray for the flowers. I'm going to go get that pen and do that now so I don't forget later. Okay. I'm really glad I have these. I never got gray pens before I received these in Art Snacks boxes, and they're quite useful. I'm not sure. Let's see, this is 0.3 millimeters in size. 0.5, that's pretty big, so I'll use the 0.3. I think I will only use the gray for the actual petals. I'm not going to use it for the, I don't know what these are called, the little tiny leaves that blossoms come out from in the stem here. This is so tough to see, actually. Okay. Another thing that's great about these pens is if you want it to look more like it's drawn in graphite, but you don't want the mess of graphite, and it just looks like super clean graphite lines that don't smudge. It's really great. Yes, yes. Flower, flower, flower. I think these, I didn't look it up in my notes or anything, but I feel like these are mountain violets. I think that's the flower I ended up going with, because I was looking at birth flowers, birth month or week flowers or something for February. It just said violets. Like, what kind of violet? There's so many. So I went again with my local region and found one that grows natively here, and it was mountain violet, if I'm not remembering incorrectly. There's a couple lines coming out like this. I'm tracing these lines that I drew last year. Took me a year to finally get back to this. It's just such a big project. It's my own project, and I'm like, I can't do my own project. It's so much work. Gets overwhelming. I have like grand ideas, I guess, and then I go to actually do them. I'm like, oh. Okay. Now, is this petal in front or behind its neighbor? Actually, they're not even touching. So this is one of those areas where the texture from the watercolor paper is making it extremely hard for me to see what is actually happening on the sketch. In these areas where I drew a very light graphite line, it's like impossible. You can't even see anything. Nothing is coming through. I have done in the past, to make this issue easier to deal with, go over the sketch in ink and then trace it in ink again on the final paper. And that does help. It really does help so that you can see. But for a sketch of this size and detail, I do not want to draw it in ink and then draw it again. I'd rather just keep looking under the page. It probably takes less time this way. Where's that one coming from? Okay, I get it. Let's put this little curve in it. Petals curving too. Almost got 2 sets of flower petals done. Oh, this is a big one. Comes all the way around here. This kind of thing is why I need reference images, because the way all these petals are so different from one another, I would never think, without looking at an actual flower, I would never just imagine these shapes on my own. I mean, this is all one flower. Stuff sticking out here, sticking out from the middle of the flower. I used to know all the parts of the flower. I don't remember them. Stamen and pistil. It's the only thing I remember. I'm pretty sure those are both reproductive organs, I guess. You call them organs with flowers? Oop, there's someone. Make that line connect. And this petal I'm going to bring in here. Yep, that looks good. Looks good. Okay, and then I just have two little unopened flowers here. It's only a couple lines with the gray pen here. One comes down here, and let's see. This one doesn't start into here. There. That's all do with gray for this illustration. Go back to the black. I think I was using size 1 micron. Something I need to make sure that this looks like it's coming out of the beak. Because in the sketch, I don't know if I drew the flower first and then drew the bird and didn't fix it or what, but it just looks like the beak is on top, but it's meant to be holding this flower as if it's setting it down. It's decorating its nest, trying to put the finishing touches on. So draw the beak first, I guess. Something interesting I learned in researching robins for this. Robins are the perfect bird to study to learn the general shape of a thrush. I never knew that. I always think of The Hobbit when I hear the word thrush, because there's that thrush that warns Lake Town about Smaug coming down. So I always thought thrushes were super cool, but I did not realize that robins are thrushes. But once the article I was reading said that, I was like, oh, I totally see it. I get it. Comes down like this with these. Sticks out a bit. Here. Yeah, that's good. Draw the end of this stick. oh, that one's done. I'm gonna move on to these flowers. Finish all the flowers off. Okay, I think okay. This one kind of sticks up. That one curves around. There's the top. This one comes up too. Where does it go? It goes to, just disappears behind this one. There. This one has a stem as well. Visible stem where the Gryphon tore it from its body. Kind of violent. Picking flowers is violent. This one comes across here. And kind of bump. It's like a bump. And then like that. Yay! Flowers are done. One element is done. Now I better finish this beak before I forget. This line comes around. Let's see, how far does it go? Okay. And I think it's like feathery. It's kind of feathery here. So we'll do little feathery lines. Comes all the way out past the nostril. Little tiniest little feathers. The nostril is here. Yep. It's looking good. The feet are going to be really tough. They're super detailed. I think I'm going to take a picture. Take a picture real quick of the foot. So then I can look at it. Because they've got, not only are bird wings super complicated, bird feet have, they have all the bones and joints it seems that we do. Maybe if I sit this up on my roll of tape, I can see it better. Oh, that's so much better. Sweet. When my brother saw this, he thought it was a little stick figure laying prone, like spread out like it was dead. Never thought of that. Oh, this comes down and there's a little claw right here. The little finger joint comes down. There's a knuckle. Another long finger bit. Finger bit. Boop, boop. Okay, next one. Knuckle. And then down, and another knuckle. here's the claw. It comes around like this. And one knuckle and second knuckle. And then this little bit where they're connected. Yes, yes, yes. The top of the hand completely goes up to the wrist. I don't know if you call that a wrist on a bird. It would be a wrist on a human, so. This finger goes down to the second knuckle. And here is the claw. Nice and curved and thin. That part, and this comes up a bit, and then the connective part down here. Yes, looks great, looks great. Put that line right there, that bone, this bone, finger bone. Now, final claw. This wrist, the bird's skin on this, on their legs, robins, is really wrinkly by the wrist. I have to look at the original now. Picture's getting blurry. Photo I just took on my phone. Really is pretty cool how it just kind of looks like a really skeletal human hand, but it's a bird's foot. There's that. Now, this feathery part of the arm. Okay, turn my phone off now. Sweet, it's coming along, coming along. I need to put a few more lines here to show where the knuckles are. And there's like a plate here. Knuckle right there. This needs to look sharper. I'll bring this line down. Okay, moving on. Do the eye next. It's got these little, man, it's super hard to see. I'm gonna take another picture. It's a good idea. Super detailed areas. Just take a photo of it. And then you can look at it while tracing it at the same time. Yay! It's still so hard to see where I should start though. I don't want to mess it up. Okay. Okay, here we go. Just do it. Just do it, Nike. Okay, there. There's the highlight and the eye that I drew in, so I'll draw it in here too. There's these interesting, like, patches. Leathery skin around the eye. There. Ooh. Looks like I have a line coming out here. Now, turn my phone off again for now, until I need its help again. And I'm going to draw this part of the head. Pretty smooth, and then right here, the little feathery bits start. Where did that go? Right there. And it starts coming around like this. And there's another section kind of like that too. Yep. Okay, now the bottom of the head comes out from under the beak. It doesn't start behind the beak, it starts under the beak. And it gets really feathery right here. Get those pens out of my way. I keep hitting them with the paper. I'm turning it to and fro. Chest. Just continue with the chest drawing first. I think I'll move on to the wing first. Here we go. Lots of lines here. Wing, super complicated. Super complicated. These are little tiniest little feathers here. They don't get their own distinct feather shape. They get the same kind of lines that you'd give something that just had super short hair. Actually, it does not connect right there. It skips right there. Next, little one, just a little one right here. Okay, I gotta start being careful. Can't neglect these pine needles because they're meant to be on top of the bird part of the Gryphon, so that it gives a sense of depth. They're super hard to see. Okay. These ones are top, or these ones on top? Okay. Okay, these are on top. Okay, next one. Next. These two are right next to each other. This one comes first. And there's this one that comes on top of all of them. So hard to see. Okay, there. Boop. There. And this one comes out from underneath. Yay! Next. This one doesn't go all the way because this guy comes out on top. Whee! This one, let's go here. So we can save that one. It gets lost in here too. This is super tedious. The top one is this one. Can't really see it. Let's see what's going on. Okay, there it is. It's like I can see it clearly on the sketch, and then I put the paper back down and I lose it. So it's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 to draw here. Okay, I can see them. Let's go all the way up. And then there's this one. Goodness. That's all the ones covering the robin in this section. I wanna work on something else, so I'm gonna only do the parts that are actually covering the robin. We'll get the rest later. These ones come way down. And that's on the top. Maybe I'll just draw the part that's actually coming down onto the robin, figure out the rest later. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. So hard to see. If I lift up my map. Doesn't really make a difference. Where is this? Where is this one? It's covering right the end of this wing right here. There. That's it. And this one. This one. All the way down here. Woo. And 3 more covering the squirrel part back here. Not on the wing anymore, but the squirrel's back. I'll do this one just for good measure. There. What else? Any others? Yes, plenty. 1, 2, 3. I'll do these 3 first. This one's kind of crazy. It's coming all out here. Whee! This one's coming out here like this. This one all the way down here. Make sure. Yeah, it's coming all the way down. Start with this farthest most one over here. And this one. Where does that one go? It looks like it goes behind. This one isn't really covered by anything. It's out here like this. But it does practically touch these two. What else? What else? So I better draw this one too. Okay, going back to the more fun part, the animal. Continue with its back. Nothing special, just keeps going. And that. And now we're starting to move on to bigger feathers. I've got to get the overlap correct, because birds' feathers just fold up like magic, and each one goes over or under another layer just perfectly. They just fold it up and it's like, whew. I want it to look right. Sweet, sweet. I'm continuing to check each time to see whether it's looking like it's just a solid feather or if it has feathery edges, and a lot of these still do. But now it looks like I got all the ones with the feathery edges. These ones are all solid. Where's that one? Does that one come out like that? This one comes out on its own. This. Good, 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 good. Next one comes down. Okay, another whole section of feathers. And we are left just two. Now what is this? Is it its belly? That's its belly. I think I can finish drawing the belly now. Sweet. Okay, what else? What else? Go back to the top, I think. Feathers are getting bigger and bigger. Not come all the way out. Nope. There's another one. Another thing that's tough to see is when there are lines really close together in a drawing. When you're using this tracing method with light behind, it can just make it look like one single line, even though it's actually two separate lines. So it diffuses. It comes all down, and how many more are there? There's several more here. Two more right here. Yep. This one comes out a bit further. They're all stacked. Next one comes out even further. But it's so wide that you can see it here. Next is the biggest one of this lot. It's all the way down. Almost done. Almost done with the wing. Just 5 more. 5 more feathers. Kind of nice and quiet outside, so the window open. Kind of relaxing drawing this right now. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 feathers left. That one gets hidden under this one. And then this one comes out. Let's see, all the way down. And then the last one. There. The wing is done. Now, this line is super hard to see, but there's a line for the back where it's now fur, from the squirrel instead of feathers. Right here, there, there, and go straight through. It's fluffy the whole way. Fuzzy. It's more better word, fuzzy. It's more fuzzy than fluffy. Come behind this part. There, now the back. Back is drawn. Now we need to draw this leg. How does that go? Yeah, it's kind of fuzzy right at the knee. And then back here. It comes around like this. And more fuzzies. Okay, here's another thing I'm going to take a picture of. Back foot, the squirrel foot. Set that up. It's just so hard to see. I have to draw the foot first because it's so fuzzy that even where the claws come out, it's fuzzy around the claws. Goes pretty far back, toes. Draw this one first. Man, I can't even see. Now I can draw this part at the bottom of this claw. The foot just goes off underneath the rest of the leg. Whew! Yay! Now what? That's just muscle and tail. Fuzzy, fuzzy, fuzzy tail. The lines are so light, I just can't see them at all. Got some coming out like this. And down like this. And since it's just really fuzzy fur, it doesn't matter that much if it's not exactly the same as a sketch. But they start curving here because the tail curves around. So right about here. Come out. Super long. Okay, I think I better draw a nest. Now the tail's coming where I gotta make sure not to. Got a little smudge on the paper. There. I guess the first thing I need to draw, can't draw the nest before I draw fix my lamps a little bit. Too much light. I gotta draw these first. Sprigs, pine needles.